Hello friends, we are now looking at another part of our Unit 3, Managing Your Career and Employees. Today we're going to look at the human resource side of the business. And this may be part 1, as I may have to clip these videos in 2. So here we go, human resources. We're going to examine the functions of a human resource department, the hiring process for an organization, and of course, what I think is very important, managing your career, how to interview, work habits, productive steps, and even performance appraisals. You know, I have several degrees, and I cannot remember any of my business classes where a professor said, hey, let's take a moment to help you manage your career. And I think it's very important. So I hope you enjoy this lesson today. Human resources. What do they do? That's a great question, because I really don't know what sometimes goes on in the human resource department. I do think it could be a great career for many of you, certainly if it's done right. I think training would be fantastic. So let's look. They do plan for a company's staffing needs. They do recruit, and they are involved in the hiring process. Now, it's generally speaking, your hiring manager will make the final decision. Train and develop employees. Well, they provide training programs. Again, it's going to be much of this you as a manager that's going to develop your employees. Appraise employee performance. Well, really, that's going to be you again as a manager. Administer compensation. Okay, and oversees changes in employment status. They certainly look at forecasts, supply and demand, and hopefully soon, again, we're in March 2020 in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic, and I know a lot of people are hurting, and I would not doubt if some of you are hurting right now. But hopefully, again, a few months from now when this is somewhat under control, better under control, hopefully completely under control, should be a lot of hiring and ramping back up to what the American economy loves to do: shop, spend, and create. So, you might become a human resource executive planning for company staffing needs. Many times when we want to find a job analysis, we go to our human resource department. And so, they may also come to you and say, all right, if you're looking for a salesperson, if you're looking for a social media manager, if you're looking for a clerk, what is the purpose of the job? They would ask you. What are the tasks involved in the job? What qualifications? Does someone need a professional degree? Do they have any type of physical requirements they have to have? Work schedules? Type of setting the job takes place in, etc., etc. And then the human resource department, which could be you, writes out a job analysis, and that analysis should turn into a description. Summarizes the task and conditions in which the employee will work. Skills, education, the experience the job requires, and now this job description will basically be placed on LinkedIn. I hope you are utilizing, my friends, your LinkedIn assignment. I hope you're really getting more connections as much as you possibly can, or other ways of networking, because that is the best way to find a job. If we have to look through papers, I don't know if any of you have read a paper lately, but if we're looking through the typical career want ads, either online or in print, we need to be doing more than that. We've got to work that network. So there we have the analysis, the description, and the specification is exactly what you would be doing. And of course, you probably should write right down in here anything else that the boss desires. Don't you miss me? Recruiting. Process of attracting suitable candidates for the organization's position. Okay, now we're going to flip this. We don't care what the organization, this is what they're doing, and what should we be doing? We need to understand this. Okay, there we are. Internal searches, papers, employment agencies, college career services. Hopefully, you can certainly get online right now and look at Tarrant County College Career Services, and they can be very, very helpful. to writing your resume or helping you write your resume and making sure that you're doing everything you can to become hireable. And of course, using your network. This is heir apparent. Is the most important thing you need to be doing right now as a college student, developing that professional network. So, you found a job that you like. All right, let's look at the hiring process. I have been on several hiring committees during my career, from the private sector, from my own business, and into Tarrant County College. And here's what it usually looks like. It may not look like this for everyone, but I think this will give you some good hints and understanding and some hindsight. So, 100 resumes may be narrowed down to 10. It's a great, cool job. It's that social media managing job that you'd like, or entry-level social media analyst. So make sure your resume resembles the description. Don't just throw out a standard resume to everyone you see, because it's just going to be too blank. There are some pretty cool apps out there. I mean, even Microsoft Word has some nice ways where you can hit your resume. Again, it's going to be converted into a PDF, and so you can shoot that through. But, just looking in here, we have some nice looking fonts. We want to, for right now, I would think most of you, it depends. If you have a lot of work experience, put that experience first. If your experience is limited, well, then put your education and your highest achievements. So, they'll get the resume. Again, they may narrow it down to 10. Hopefully, you're one of them. And hopefully, you might have known somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody on this panel. Well, we look at it again. From 10, we may go down to 5 to 8 to actually call out for interviews. So, on your resume, we got to use action verbs. Don't say, I could do some accounting work. I'm okay in technology. Use the words like managed, produced, developed, coordinated. These are excellent words. Make it very active of what you have done. Dress it up as much as you possibly can. And again, have someone else look at it. If there's spelling mistakes, there is absolutely no reason for a spelling mistake or grammatical mistake on a resume. I've seen many good candidates just become thrown out the resume, because the thinking was, hey, if someone's not meticulous enough to look at their own resume and have it proofread and correct it, how are they going to do the work that I want them to do? So be very careful. Take some good time on this. Find, again, the job description and specification that you've read, and make sure your skills match that. That's going to give you some really good hits. Stage 2, congratulations, you got an interview. Fantastic. Okay, this is what the interview panel looks like, and probably more than that in today's world. They are group interviews. Rarely do you have a one-on-one interview, in this century. So be very prepared. Watch that nonverbal behavior. It's very easy to spot a nervous person. They'll twitch. They're playing with they can't keep their hands still. They're touching their face nonstop. They're touching their hair. So be very careful with that nonverbal. Practice, practice, practice. You can practice your interviews with somebody, a family member, and again, look at the great books, the hardest interview questions you'll have. You can find that online on eBay, and that will prepare you. Boy, wouldn't it be nice to have done some research before? The reason I want you to do a situation analysis for your business plan is because that's going to help you so much when you go to a company that you want to work for. So do a situation analysis on them. Look at their best products. What are they selling? What is their best service that they have? It's going to be heir apparent, my friends, and they'll smoke you out very quickly who has done research. I am very, very surprised at the interviews that I have been a part of that very few people have come in and even know what Tarrant County College is. Hey, you guys a 4-year school now? Because it says college. No, we're not. We're still a junior college. We just took the J out. That's all we did. You should have known that. And how many locations we have. So the more you have researched, they're going to be very impressed. I think it's extremely important to send a thank you letter. Yes, you could email, but that is minimally thoughtful. I would do both. Send the email, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to interview me, but send a either handwritten or you can type out on nice stationery cards your feelings. Thank you so much for interviewing me today, and then relist why they should hire you. I think you should hire me because I'm going to bring these skills to your organization. That is just an extra touch, and I can tell you, the ones who have done that in the multiple interviews that committees I've been on, 90% of the time they've gotten the job. So, very important. Well, is there a stage three? Absolutely, there's a stage three. This is a second interview. Okay, so the first interview, the people were probably, your immediate manager that you would work with, but a lot could be the 360 interview, could be admins, administrative professionals, it could be your coworkers. These are going to be right in here, probably the step up, maybe a director or a vice president. So the top two candidates generally go. Perhaps there's three, but it's narrowing down. Again, blow them away with all of that research that you've done. Get that situation analysis and tell them about their company and tell them what you believe you can do to help them. It goes into a stage four. Hopefully this is collapsing on itself, which means this could be, the first stage to get to the interview stage, maybe a couple of weeks. If you're going into the nonprofit world, it could be a couple of months. So, but this should start acting very quickly here. Stage four, position evaluates the candidates. If you are getting reference checks, like from your references, they say, hey, Randy, someone called us and about your faculty position. So I think you're in good shape. You're in very good shape. Okay? And then again, the supervisor selects that person for the job. During this process, never, ever discuss salary. Okay? That is used on a different level. So, what about those background verifications? Is it really required? Well, this is the internet age. They are going, depending on their organization, they are going to troll your social media. Make sure it's clean, my friends. And to make sure it's clean means you got to be clean right now. Again, there's people who just say, I hate my boss, and they put it out on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat, and those are the biggest vehicles of communication in the world. So don't yell out what you hate about everything. Yell out, hey, I think I can do this very well. So all of these, and this takes almost right in here, very little money for them to do. Yeah, they'll even look at your credit score. Should that be legal? Hey, they do it. Obviously, if you're going to be in a position that has financial responsibilities, they want to see your credit. So all of these things they will look at, make sure there's nothing bad on that background for you. Now, here's questions as a manager that you cannot ask, and so they cannot also, they cannot be asked to you. Hey, Randy, I see a ring on your finger. Are you married? Okay. No, that's a bad one. Well, Randy, how old are you? Now that's a big one. Age discrimination, and of course I'm not at this age yet, is 40 years old or more. And so, yeah, I've been in interviews where a coworker said, hey, how old are you? And I'm like, oh my God, you can't ask that question. We just got nailed. Because if that person didn't receive the job, because this was the final interview process, that person had a right to say, you know what, they asked me my age, they asked me about my husband, and they did get the job, by the way. But little things, how's your criminal record? Well, of course, you can find that out. But you cannot ask that No. In an interview, unless it is going to be a professional licensure. I mean, there are some loopholes here for the positions. And Randy, I noticed you're limping quite a bit there. Is that were you born with that, or did you just get in an accident, or did you have workman's compensation claim? None of these things should ever be asked. And if they're ever asked to you, I'd write them down, and make sure that it's documented somehow. And if you didn't get the job, you say these were asked to me, and what would basically happen is they'd have to cancel everything out and restart the entire process. So don't get caught, and don't let that happen to you. Here's some tips, okay? I see it. This is going to help you arrive early. If your interview is at 9 a.m. and it's in uptown Dallas, and here you are at Tarrant County College Northeast Campus, okay, you know what? If I leave at 8:45, I bet I can haul it all the way there. You know what? I've got that Charger with a 600 horsepower engine. Come on, absolutely. Get there, leave at 7 a.m. This is Dallas. Leave at 6:30. Make sure you're there. You can walk around the building. I would very much suggest that you pay a visit to the organization before you have your interview. Again, this is for your professional job. Look at the culture. Look at how people are dressed. Just get an idea so you know exactly where you're supposed to park, because these little things can drive you crazy. We have had people come in late, and we understand that. But if they didn't call, they just kind of walked in and said, hey, I'm here. Aren't you going to interview me? I know I'm an hour late. We just scratched you off the list. Now, if you had called and said, oh my gosh, traffic is bad, please, I definitely want to be here, we work with you, obviously. So, always be kind to the administrative assistant. That's the first person you will probably meet as you go up to that office and says, hello, I'm Randy Saleh. I'm interviewing for a professorship here. Make sure that person likes you. I have seen when this person doesn't like you, you have a hard time getting the job. Okay? So, 60% of their executives will rely on their assistant's opinion on evaluating new hires, because they're saying, hey, I got to work with this person on a daily basis, and they're going to come to me for things, so got to make sure it's a good fit. Be kind to the assistant, be kind to everybody, lock that phone up, my friends, and get there on time. There's your phone. Oh, Hillary Clinton there. Let me just send some emails out real quick while I'm on Capitol Hill. So, Snapchatting in the lobby about the party, taking selfies. I know you're saying, come on, no one's going to do this. Oh, it's been done, but we are addicted to our phones, no doubt. We're looking at our texts, we're looking at emails, we're looking at everything. Be very careful. You may say, I've got all my notes on there. Well, write your notes out, carry a nice professional binder to have the questions that you're going to ask, have some information, maybe some copies of the project, maybe some copies of your writing that you have done. That's why that business model is so important. Okay? So, this doesn't impress people, but it does allow people to know, man, this person doesn't even take us seriously. They're just not on they're on their phone all the time. Review that resume. I would definitely suggest you bring additional copies of your resume, because you can hand those out to the interviewees. They may have one, they may not. All right, prepare for those questions. Plan ahead, my friends. Yeah, you must go in prepared for your interview. You've got to know it. Research, do the diligence. Yes, there he is again. That's situation analysis, which is the first part of your business plan, because that is your research, your business model. Hit it. Again, research the questions that are asked in interviews. You can Google this, but there are some really good books that out there, and when I read them, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't think of that. Bring a list of the top 5 things that you have accomplished, either for your last employer or while you've been in school. Okay, I think that most significant accomplishment is going to be a question that you're going to be asked. But hey, you're writing your personal mission statement, and it has almost all of this in there, so you're going to be very well prepared. Some other tips here. You must ask questions. Hey, I've been in an interview process, and it was with people I knew. If you are interviewing for a company that you already work with, Most of the time we think, hey, I'm the shoe-in here. They know me. They love me. It's going to be easy. I actually think you're at a disadvantage. So you go in telling them your name, telling them all about you as if you have never met them before, okay? Because they may not know everything about you. I didn't ask questions when another campus was being opened, and I walked out of that interview. I had thought I nailed it until the questions came, and as I walked out, I said, "Oh my God, why, how did I miss that?" I did. So you must ask questions. Bring a list of 3 to 5 that you would like to ask. Again, I have said do not talk about salary. That's a bad one. When you talk about salary, unless it's brought up by the interviewees, and they may say, "Hey, you're working for a government institution, and this is our salary range. Are you okay with that?" Because most government or nonprofits cannot match the private sector in salary. And so you need to know that going in. We do ask that question as we call for an interview. Are you acceptable with that range? And if someone says, "Well, I really need this," that's not what you talk about. It's either yes or no. You can talk about requirements after when you're given the position. Then you can talk about that. So, sorry about that. I love this question. Have I said anything to you that would lead you to believe I am not the best person for this position? Now that takes some guts, but it's a good question. Yeah, you might want to think about that. Now, as an interviewee, I would say I would not tip my hand. I would say, we've had some great people today, and you're one of them, among one of them. I like this one, probably even better. I would like to leave this interview feeling I have done my absolute best. Well, and where do I stand in comparison to other candidates so far? What I would probably do is say right in here, my absolute best. Is there anything that I did not answer for you? Do I need to reassure any of my questions? Because once an interviewee has asked a question, sorry, an interviewer has asked you a question, we cannot change that going forward for any other candidates. By law, you can't. And so you want to make sure that you have done your best. So you want to reiterate. And I like this. Maybe you were wanting to be asked a great question like, "Oh man, I've had my own business and they really never talked about that." So say this. And we did this. An interviewee for a marketing professor came in on another campus and said, "Here's some questions that I would have asked myself." Because the person did go through some troubles, and it was somewhat publicized because it was a bankruptcy, and so this is what happened to me, and this is how I overcame it. So, and he also says I would have asked how many clients have I managed in my career for an advertising firm, and it was well over 1,000. So that really helped out. So these are interesting questions. Make sure that you can tell them, hey, is there anything else that I need to talk? Did I answer all the questions fully? Because we've gone over so much today. So that would be very interesting. And I like that. Here's some questions that I would have asked myself. Interesting. Speak, my friends, in the interview as if you have the job. Statements like, "I will, I can't, I will do this, I will be responsible, I will produce for you, I will create great social media content," versus, I might, I kind of hope to not get fired. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Again, the follow up. In the sales area, it's all about the follow up. You are selling yourself. That thank you card on the first level interviews, on the second level interviews. In fact, you're probably going to know who you're going to interview with. I mean, you should. So you could have that entire card already written out, ready to go with a stamp on it. It's just that little extra that I can assure you very few people do. Only 1% will do that. Hey, that's in our 2% of planning ahead, being proactive. If you haven't heard anything, yes, within a week, you can email, you can phone call, and just say, "I just want to make sure that everything. Do you need anything else from me?" You can question it that. You can phrase the question that way. Want to know where we are? You could play a little bit of poker with them and say that, I do have some other interviews going on, and some and people are offering, but I really like this company. that was done to us, and we did like the person, and so we hired them. And about a year later, the person said, "I was just bluffing on that." And so, any rate, within a week, I think you can call. Right now, what's going on again in this 2020 coronavirus is it's tough. It's tough out there, and you may have had some interviews, but people right now are scrambling. They're not that they don't want to offer you the position; they may not even be working themselves, or they're working from home. So, but keeping in contact is never a bad idea. Part two will be managing your career.